Okay, I have a bubble question.
Okay, do it.
So, we're working on the whisper training course, which is the culmination of what, 12, 13
Oh,
years of experience in life
our life's work.
and several different other variations before this one that did not have breath work, which is really the key piece I think that was missing to train people how to use the bubble, how to like use their own inner wisdom, all that stuff. Anyway, okay, background. And then my lease just got bumped for my apartment a month, and I'm blaming it on the soul alignment of this course. So I want to know if, like, part of the reason that got bumped was to give space to get this course done.
Sometimes I love them because they're not shits in like a bad way, but they're like shits like a toddler's funny. Like, oh, you little shit. They were pointing to the nose, like finger on the nose, and then they said, "We told you end of June." Like, remember when we
Yeah,
were
they're
like,
like,
we
we
should
should
set
have
a
a
deadline.
deadline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, you need to set a deadline for yourself. Humans need deadlines. And what they suggested was the end of June. And you were like, oh my God, that won't work. I have to move.
It's true. I was like, you guys, that's
No,
gonna be
you
impossible, but
don't.
okay.
Um, so it's just like priority. So this goes back to our prior discussion, which is about priorities. So on the soul level, your soul is the priority, is the course. This, I mean, fuck, your soul and your higher self doesn't care where you live. They don't have,
No,
they're
don't
not
give a
bothered by
shit.
human things like we are. Um, that is clear. When you start talking to your higher self, you will quickly find out that they have a completely different set of like things that are important to them.
This reminds me of another question I have, so just keep going and then I will ask that.
Okay, yeah. So they're just like the course is a priority for your soul, like the reason why you're here learning this stuff and doing this stuff. The apartment is the priority for moving into the next phase of your life. Moving into the next phase of your life happens post course. So they're like, you could have moved into the apartment and finished the course, but you were also open on some level to make this as streamlined as possible and put it in the right order.
Mm-hmm. Right. Put it in
Because
the
you're
best
like, I
order
don't
for
care
my
what, right,
soul.
right.
Right.
I don't really care when I move. I just know that I want to move. So they're like, cool. Like you opened the door for them to exert influence and shift some things around.
Right. Because that was really going to be disruptive because we had gone on the 2 week trip to Europe and then 3 weeks later I was moving. And it's just like,
Yeah.
but now it's another month. So it's like I've got 7 weeks to wrap the course up.
Yeah. And it just all got so much clearer and so much more streamlined. So
Yeah. So much clearer,
they're
so
like,
much more
yeah, you're
streamlined.
gonna do it. You're gonna do it. So they're super pumped. And they're also really pumped about the apartment. They're what they like about it in this order is that you will feel like you're moving into like the next era. Like, oh, this is the apartment era where like you exert some next level of independence,
Right.
which would not only be living arrangements, but also monetary.
Right.
It's our independence era tour.
Tour. Tour. Um,
Tour.
that's really funny. Is there anything else?
That's it.
Okay, this is really random, but this morning I was like, so I got out of my routine of working out from going to the trip on the trip, and I'm just really not getting back into it at all. And I was kind of feeling into the energy of something they had said earlier, but it's almost like, that all the like science people are like, you have to lift heavy weights. And there's just such an energy behind that. But I was like, what I really feel like I want to be doing is like Pilates reformer and dancing and swimming and like bicycling and things that feel really light and airy. Okay, this is
Yeah.
really not the question.
Okay.
But then I was also like, okay, what is my problem? And I can't get going again. And so I was like, you know what? I don't like I don't think that they ever have very good answers. Are their answers? I'm like, are their answers very good for physical stuff like this, like working out? You know what I mean? And then I was like, what
Mm-hmm.
if I was like that lady on the telepathy tapes and like you just asked a horse?
Should I lift weights?
I don't have a horse, but this one story on the telepathy tapes was this equestrian young girl who's an equestrian, 16 years old, I think, was having trouble with this horse that wouldn't jump over obstacles. And they just couldn't get it to do it. And so they finally somehow got in touch with an animal communicator, and the animal communicator talked to the horse, and the horse was like, she has arthritis. I don't want to like create more problems for this girl. And this sounds insane because she's 16. And of course, they go get her evaluated, and she does have arthritis. And then eventually, somehow, they ended up asking the horse which medicine she should take. And it told her, like, the story is mind blowing. But I was like, well, look, if you just had an animal to talk to about your body, it might understand better because it's physically here on the planet.
So
This is
you
my
want
whole thought this morning.
So we're gonna start inviting Sheba to the
Yeah.
podcast.
What does Sheba have to say? I was like, would the horse know better because it's living here on the physical earth? Like it understands the laws of gravity and like the higher
Right.
selves are like, la la la, whatever. Anyway, that was my whole like rabbit hole that I was down this morning.
Oh my God. Well, backing up, what they kept showing when you were talking about working out was, in like in bar three or even in Pilates, when like the exercise where you've got your arms out and you're like maybe holding a weight or maybe not, but it's just like the lightweight, heavy, high rep. That's what they kept showing. And like, you're not wrong. First of all, they're like, yeah, no, we don't remember or know what it's like to have a human body. You are correct. Thank you for your patience while we work through this together to try to figure it out. But they're just like, you're right. You keep getting hurt doing heavy weights because that's not in alignment for you, because doing heavy weights makes you feel heavy.
This is what I felt.
It's almost like the concept of bulking up didn't cause you to bulk up, but like open the space for you to feel into that like heavier, bulkier energy. So like, and this is true for everyone. If you listen to the words that you use and pay attention to the images that you see when you think about things, the clues are there. Like, your body is talking to you and communicating to you what works best. So like when you talk about working out, I essentially see like bar three type movements, which is a blend of ballet and Pilates, and like swimming and reformer. It's all these, and the results of those are people who are usually good at those things. They all have like these long, thinner bodies. Now, the swimmers, I would say they have quote unquote like softer bodies from swimming. Like they're strong, but like they always, I don't know how to explain it. Like I've always just described it as like soft, like especially the women. It's like they're
not chiseled.
yes, thank you. They're not chiseled. So they're like, there's no part of you that wants to be chiseled. Mm-hmm. And the energy of lifting weights, like they're just like, some things have so much energy and so much momentum around them that it's really hard to like consciously push past that. So lifting
You
weights.
mean like the consciousness around
Yes.
what it is?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like lifting weights, men, they bulk up, they get chiseled. Same thing, like women get chiseled, and they end up having sometimes more of a masculine physique. Mm-hmm. Because it becomes this thing. And you're just like, I don't want any part of that. I also don't want to spend, like, you don't want to spend time in the gym around the weights. Like, there's no part of it that you want to do. So they're like, just let go of it. Don't do it. Listen to the things that you're hearing in your head on repeat. Those are the clues. So the weights are important for bone mass, but that's also assuming what the average person does, which is sits all day, either in front of a computer or in front of TV. So there's no resistance training of any sort. Now, like, you can get resistance training in swimming, you can get resistance training in reformer, you can get resistance training in like Pilates, all those things. So they're like, what are you smiling about?
I was laughing because I was just in France and I'm like, the French don't really work out as much and their gyms are really expensive, according to Rick Steves. I don't know if this is true. I did not double check, but they do a lot of walking. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, are they seeing videos all the time about lifting heavy weights and how much protein they should be getting all fucking day? Like,
Fuck no,
seriously.
they're not. No.
I know. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's like, I overheard a 15-year-old girl at the gym the other day talking about how much protein she was getting. I was like, bitch, when I was your age, I was eating a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Fritos, and a fucking honey bun for lunch every day.
I was doing honey buns and Mountain Dew. There's
Can
no
you
fucking protein
imagine
in
like
that.
having to worry about protein when you're 15 years old? Stop
No,
talking
and
about fucking protein.
it's like listening to the 20-year-olds talk about Botox. I'm sorry, you don't have fucking wrinkles.
I know. You know what? I watched that show with that I was just telling you about, Sirens, and it has Julianne Moore in it. And then the other girl that's in it, one of the main girls, she was part of the couples, two sets of couples with Aubrey Plaza in the Italian version of The White Lotus.
Okay.
So that's her. Anyway, stunning. And like maybe 34, I'm guessing, has some forehead wrinkles. They had such a soft light, soft blur on Julianne Moore. So you would look at Julianne Moore and she would have less wrinkles at 64 than this chick who's probably 34. And I'm like, could
Embrace it.
yeah, just like, good Lord, everybody. So then I'm thinking about, sorry, this is a total sidetrack, but it's those people. Why does everyone look the same? Like the Botox and the
Yeah.
fillers in the lips, it's making everyone look the same. Anyway,
Well, yeah,
okay,
because there's
aside.
only so much, like, there's only so much room to do shit with. Okay, so they're going back to when you said the protein, like the videos that people in France are seeing versus people in the US. They're like, you absolutely nailed it. There's a consciousness. You get to decide whether you're tapping into it and buying into it, or whether you are listening to your own guidance. And they reminded me that I was like, oh God, maybe I should be eating more protein, blah, 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 blah. And so I did it for a while and I was in the mindset of, yes, I'm going to do this. It is the right thing to do. And it was fine. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think I'm eating too much protein. And all of a sudden the protein started like affecting me, like started, too much protein, you get gas, FYI, TMI. And I was like, oh, I'm eating too much of it. And I was like, oh, right. Because I was just doing the protein powder versus actually chewing my food and eating whole foods. And I do like chewing my food and eating whole foods. So it's like the clues are always there. It's whether we want to, it's like what we want to buy into and believe.
Well, we talked about, there's like the phenomenon. I was like, Kelly, I mean, what is your name? Candy. I was like, Candy, listen, we could just go to Europe. Like, let's just go live in London for 3 months and you'll just lose like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Because whenever you travel over there as Americans, people lose weight. First of all, the portion sizes are smaller, so that's an issue. But you're walking everywhere. But what I realized this time is like, oh no, it's just the joy. It's the joy of being there and enjoying all your food and everything you're eating, you're enjoying. And you're like, I'm having a fucking croissant and I don't feel even a lick guilty about it because I'm in France. And you just have this whole other level of like, and that goes back to that food psychology course you took. Which is like how you feel about what you're doing and what you're eating is what is actually energetically going into your body.
Right. Yeah.
So
Are you feeding yourself joy, or are you feeding yourself like grief and anger and shame and regret and guilt and stress and all the stuff? Totally.
Yeah.
And you're probably also not eating in front of the TV, which is another big
not.
thing that they talked about, that even though we don't think it, we are eating what we're watching if we're eating in front of the TV. Yeah, no, they're like, you're spot on all of it. And
So back
they're just
to
like,
the horse.
I almost started to, there's like, we don't want to make a blanket statement, but we're going to make a blanket statement because we can't, it's important and it's too complicated to try to qualify it. For in general terms, people outside of the United States are living a more connected life. They're more connected to themselves. They're more connected to their communities. They're more connected to their families. They're more connected to the food. They're more connected to activities. They're more connected to nature. Like, generally speaking, in the US, we are living a far more disconnected life, which means we're not hearing when the body's full. We're not hearing what the body's asking for from a food perspective. We're not even tuned into like how the body wants to move and exercise itself. There's just such a wisdom that sits there, but it requires tuning into the connection. And they're like, again, they're now like this is why the whisper training. They're like, there's so many reasons why the whisper training is important, least of which is wanting to become psychic. That is an amazing byproduct, but they're just like, if people will just learn what it feels like to hear their own inner wisdom, like, you don't even need Instagram, you don't need TikTok. Like, there's sheer entertainment and information just shooting through your body at all times, and to think that you have to get it from these outside sources is ridiculous. Oh, guys, which is interesting because I'm not nearly as entertained by Instagram as I used to be.
No, they just keep telling me I need fucking protein and lift heavy weights. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Or even worse, the fucking political shit on there. God, it's so stressful.
They keep trying to sell me all cotton shit from China. I'm like, no, bros.
Sorry, because I sent you
probably
that
not
one
making
link.
it here. No, it's okay. I mean, this is just my own searching. Ooh, it's raining again here.
It is, you know what it is kind of like, actually, it's a microcosm, or maybe micro is not the word, but it's an example of exactly how manifesting works. Because you do a search on the Googles about something you're interested in, and then Instagram's like, how about these cotton pants? How about these cotton pants? How about these cotton pants? These cotton pants? Do you want these cotton pants? How about these cotton pants? Like, it just won't stop.
It's totally true. It won't stop.
Serving up. The algorithm's just
and-
serving up what you asked for.
Yes, and if you don't listen to yourself, then you buy it.
Yeah.
You buy all of them. Do you know how many times I have bought the same supplement over and over again, and every time it arrives, I'm like, I fucking hated this thing.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm not taking the time to like tune in and ask myself, is this the right supplement for me? I'm just like, ooh, this looks like a shiny object. Buy.
That's what they want though, too.
It is,
That's
and
the
it
goal.
works.
But, people are like, so, like, I'm going to turn off all those settings so Apple can't track what I'm wanting. I'm like, seriously? You're just going to get random fucking ads about nothing that you care about? Like, that sounds worse. But you do have to have a level of self-control if you see stuff you want. And I was like, also, we have a small business. So how would you ever find our whisper training if you're not going to allow ads for what you're looking for? Because it'll never find you.
It's true. It's so true. It's a balance, people. It's all a balance. It's about finding the joy and why we're doing what we're doing and why we use the tools that we use. Yeah.
Anyway,
you don't need
what about a
horse?
horse? What about the horse?
Well, the reason why something like the horse works is because they're like, think about it. When you feel too like charged up about something, the worry, like in probably the last episode or whatever, the podcast, you asked a question about breath work. And I was like, how about you answer it? Because I don't want to take the effort to like make sure that my brain's out of the way, because I got all this information in my brain about breath work. So like, I want to hear what comes to you in the bubble. And they're like, that's the reason why a horse works, or like going to a psychic works, is because you don't have to move your own bias, your own emotional charge out of the way.
Right.
And they're like, again, like doing the whisper training teaches you how to distinguish between those voices or those channels. So it's easier to differentiate, but like, that's in essence what the horse is the horse is the conduit for the
Right. It's like
information
the
to
neutral.
come through.
And it was easier because I got this feeling like, oh, you're just not, like, you haven't fully recovered from coming back, even though it seems like you should have. You just haven't. So just chill the fuck out, take a walk, and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the response I got. But it does, it's like it, and this is what I used to do before I was into any of this stuff. I was like, I just would be like, what would Laura at 90 years old say about this situation? And then you
Mhm.
go immediately to, yeah, quit that job because it's stupid.
90-year-old Laura would be like, this all is dumb.
Yeah, it's all
Eat the
stupid.
chocolate, quit the job.
Yeah, exactly. So you just, it takes you into that like neutral perspective where you take yourself out of your current, like, blah, 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 human mind freaking out about whatever.
And all the shit we're shoving into it.
Oh my God. So
That's the
much
other
input.
problem. So much
That,
input. And
so much input.
do any of these people even know? Do they even know what they're telling us to do? Why? I don't even know. I'm just like, you know what? From now on, I'm just going to try to like just follow my own inner guidance.
Yeah,
I don't know. See what that works.
I know. I'm
I
like, this
do.
lady, the lady that's like lift heavy weights, I was like, I can't even hold on to them with my hands. What are you talking about?
Well, I don't remember if I told you this or not, but I kept hearing in my head over and over and over again, bar three, bar three, bar three, bar three, bar three. And I, like, of course, I ignored it because, you know,
This is who you are at the core
that's
level.
exactly because of the core
Yeah.
level. I'm like, no, I need to lift weights. Because I do like lifting weights. And so like I was like, I want to go to the gym and I want to throw some weight around. But the minute that I finally was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do bar three. I'm not even lying. The very first class I did when it was over, I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I felt immediately lighter. Now, I did not drop 5 pounds while I was doing bar three for 45 minutes on my yoga mat, but my body just felt energized and lighter and different. And I was like, oh, right, this is what I was telling myself. This is what I was hearing over and over again.
Yeah. And like it could be that the weightlifting for some people, it's like it makes, I mean, it does make you feel strong, but I already feel strong. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean,
Like,
I like the weightlifting.
oh,
It's just that I don't need
this
to
is what I
do
was gonna
like that's not the
say.
only thing I need to do. Yeah.
No, what I was gonna say was, okay, this came into my head earlier. It's not related to any of being psychic. It's okay, we're both sixes in cardology, which is walking in the is like the middle, and you're always straddling. Like we kind of both almost straddle two generations.
Hmm.
Like um we're neither very feminine or very masculine. We're like right in the middle. So on the Kibbe scale, Kibbe, which is a way to like think about your body type and like what you wear, what you dress yourself in, what clothing. There's yin and yang. Yin being feminine, round, curvy, soft, and yang being sharp, angular. So you're like Angelina Jolie yang, and then like Marilyn Monroe yin. And we're all on the scale somewhere. So I think too, like I'm more on the yin side of being in the center.
Hmm.
You're going to be maybe even more some, I think exercise could be put on that scale, the
Totally. I
different types of
agree. Yep.
exercise. And you might, and I, this is just the theory I have, I don't know about the science behind it or whatever, but it's like you might actually work out if you're sharp and angular and muscular and defined, you might enjoy that kind of stuff more versus if you're like soft and round, you might enjoy like the dance and the flowing and the movement. So it aligns more with like what your body type naturally already is
Right.
my theory.
I think you're right because all the signs are there,
Yeah.
all the indicators.
And the women that are these experts that are telling you to lift heavy weights are like sharp, angular, tight, compact. And that might not be like, I get what they're saying. It's all about bone density, but whatever. I'm out.
Bottom line, she's out.
Yeah. Oh, well. They do say jumping. You can jump. That helps. Like
Yeah.
this one lady was like, jump 20 times a day. I was like, easy. No problem.
Done. On
Yeah.
it.
A little bit of jump rope, a little bit of impact.
Ooh, I do like jumping rope.
Yeah. They like the impact is what you need. If you were running, that would be also possible, but I just feel like for me, that's really hard on my body.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Oh my
But
gosh.
some of that, like bar three, has the jumping and
Mm-hmm.
P-Volve. like where you're doing the slides or the skaters or whatever, like you're doing that. It's the same thing.
Right.
And then
It
like,
is.
fuck, what's it when you're in plank and you're running? That stuff? Because then you're still like your
Mountain
arms
climbers.
you're getting some of the impact in your arms, even though you're not jumping up and down. It's the same. It does the same
Yeah.
thing. Anyway. Do
I
you have any
also think
questions?
light weights, high intervals does the same thing.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all fine.
Um,
Everybody's an expert in something for someone, but not everyone.
That wraps this episode of One Card Shy. Did you love it? Leave us a review, share it with your friends, and sign up for our monthly crown straightener. Bonus, you'll get our free Claim Your Crown guide when you subscribe.
And be sure to find us on Instagram and check out our website. Both are rainworld.co. All the links are below. See you next time, Queens.